Hey there folks, and welcome back for another video. I am CDB, and today we're going to do a dome shave with Proraso Blue, which I've used a lot of. This is my second tube of this. When I say I've used a lot, it means I have a lot of stuff. So for me to burn through anything means I've used something a lot. And I'm going to use the old Defender because I didn't do a head shave yesterday, so we have a little bit more to take off. We'll go ahead and wet the dome here so we can apply a little pre-shave. That's been working out well recently, so there's no need to stop doing it. And I realize the head shaves aren't for everyone. Some people just aren't interested in that. So if you don't want to watch, no big deal. Please check out the other videos. I have a ton of content both on this channel and ilather.com. I think I looked it up yesterday and I mentioned it in my favorite razors videos. I think I have like 1,270 or so videos. So there's a lot of content to peruse through if you want to. So please check that out. For the brush today, I'm using, let me grab it because it's not in the place it should be, the Shave 8 Ball, which is a terrific brush and one of my most used brushes. By the way, later today, I'm going to put out a video that is most used products. And I'm going to have a criteria for that. Whereas in order for any sort of product to appear, I have to have been through an entire, exhausted a package of it. So for example, blades, I've had to go through, a full thing of 100, or soaps, I've had to go through a full tub of soap or tube of cream or so on and so forth. For the hardware, it's just what I think I've used, the most. So that should be interesting. Keeping in mind that people that do videos don't always get to use their favorite things all the time because you're trying to provide new content. So you can't always just use the things that you love the most because you're always trying new stuff or, just trying to vary it for the sake of video. So it should be interesting to go and see and have a look at what I've used the most. I've used this razor a lot, not as much as the Harry's for head shaving, but I've used it quite a bit. It's my go-to when I skip a day, and I rarely skip a day, but when I do, this one is my go-to, and the reason why is because there's a lot of space between those blades, so it tends not to clog like the Harry's. That's the one downside of the Harry's in terms of head shaving, and I mentioned that in a video a while back. Shout out to fellow head shavers, in particular Ronnie Greer, who I interact with on Twitter quite a bit. Taylor, I don't know if Taylor is shaving his head right now or not. He shaves his head sometimes and sometimes not, but those are two guys that were supportive when I took the plunge and shaved the dome. And believe me, not everybody were. A lot of people were like, "What did you do? You need to grow your hair back." And I was like, "No, I'm not doing it. I'm tired of it." You see, I shaved my head for a reason. It was because the hair was thinning to a point that was just no longer, it was no longer acceptable to me. And I had always operated under the premise that when it gets too thin for my liking, I'm just going to shave it. I'm going to be done with it. I'm not going to be one of the come over rugs or plugs dudes. And if you want to do that, that's fine. But it's just not for me. I just don't care enough about hair in that regard for it to be important. So my plan was always to shave the head. And so usually when you shave your head, you grow some facial hair so you're not just one big mess of skin on your face. And then you get criticism from the traditional shavers like, "Oh, you got a mustache and goatee." Yeah, but I'm shaving my head. It's a lot more surface area than the face, even if you don't have a mustache and goatee. So for the folks who criticize, people who have a mustache and goatee who are shaving enthusiasts, look, a lot of us we're shaving a lot more than you. So And who knows what some people might be shaving, as well. I think a lot of us do a certain amount of manscaping, lack of a better term. So, we're still in the game. And besides that, if somebody wants to only shave part of their face, more power to them, the way I see it. I'm not one to just be criticizing individuals. Like, I criticize things that people do and actions, and I do criticize some individuals based on politics and things like that, but I try not to take shots at people in the community who have, just like, I don't watch a video and go make a snarky comment. Either I like the video or I don't. And as I've said in my other videos, I don't go and thumbs down a video because I disagree with the content or I disagree with the philosophy. I disagree if somebody's operating in bad faith. That's a thumbs down. If it's somebody's trying to hoodwink somebody or they're operating in bad faith. Those are the type of things that I disagree with, and with thumbs down. But, if somebody likes a product or a vendor that I don't use, I don't go and make trolley comments and, try to aggravate them because of it. I'm just like, hey, good on you. You should like whatever you like and support whatever you support. But anyway, getting back to what I was talking about, there were guys like, the inspector for Nicole and Ronnie and, Taylor and other guys who were like, hey man, good for you, shaving the dome, so on and so forth. And then there were people that were, that were not particularly supportive. But you know what? I mean, people have opinions and are like, you look like a goofball without the hair. And I was like, well, I look like a goofball to begin with. So, nothing really changed there. So anyway, just try to operate in, from the perspective of having good faith and not just trying to be, not maliciously trying to get under people's skin. That's one thing I try not to do. And I have had disagreements with folks, over the years on any number of things. And I don't think some people operate always in good faith in this, not the head shaving community, but the shaving community in general. There are some who don't always operate in good faith. Some who don't always have integrity at the forefront. I mean, that is the thing. That's just the truth. But, I also think we need to be in a place where there's a path back to redemption, where if you do something wrong, that you can be forgiven and given a path back. And so, anyway, there's some things I choose not to use, but I don't really harbor a lot of resentment towards people, or at least I try not to, because I think that's toxic and it just sort of eats at you, Now, people that are just constantly giving you a hard time and trying to make your life miserable, or trying to, then nobody's going to appreciate that. So I can understand that. But generally speaking, trying to live and let live is what I do. But that said, we all have political opinions, and some people don't like those or agree with them, and that's okay. We can still listen to what the other person has to say. So I try to do that. I'm not perfect at it. I'm sure we all do things at times that are a little bit hypocritical and so on and so forth. But I try to be supportive. And the reason for mentioning the folks I mentioned, and there are just some, not all. There are people like Khan and Charky, Khan from Chains of Man and Charky, who were all supportive, and I appreciate that. So the reason I mention all of this, in addition to just rambling on, is, if you're going to shave your head, prepare for a little bit of adversity. Not everybody's going to love it, and that's okay. They're entitled to their opinion, but ultimately, you got to make your decision. I just advise that you stick with it for long enough for it to sort of set in, if it's something you really want to do. And so that is my suggestion for you if you're going to shave your head. This was a really nice, pleasant shave, just talking. having a good time. I want to thank all the supporters. Lot more people are subscribing to both channels, which I really appreciate. Liking, thumbs up, subscribing. Supporters on Patreon, which I'll mention in the next video. New supporters, which really helps me, and I really appreciate it. Just really good head shape today with Proraso Blue. Good stuff. One of the products I've used quite a bit of, Envy Shave 8 Ball, terrific. Custom razor. Of course, we use our Razor Rock pre-shave. And when I get out of the shower, I will use the Thayer's Witch Hazel, and I'll slap on some kind of aftershave. I want to thank everybody for joining me. I forgot the Defender. Sorry about that, Defender. Really terrific head shaving razor, in my opinion. Anyway, thanks so much for joining us once again. Until next time, I've been your host, CDB. View or not, God bless.